the campus outrage machine as he prepares to deliver a speech on Thursday at the invitation of Berkeley's college Republicans. The LA Times reports that an increased and highly visible police presence will be on hand for Shapiro's speech, as well as a closed perimeter around the building where the speech will be delivered. In a memo posted to the university's website, Berkeley Provost Paul Alivisatos, I think, wrote, without any irony, "We are deeply concerned about the impact some speakers may have on individuals' sense of safety and belonging. No one should be made to feel threatened or harassed simply because of who they are or what they believe." Except Ben Shapiro, apparently. Counseling services are also being made available to students and faculty members who are upset by Shapiro's speech. That is not sarcasm, that is truth. That's actually happening. Joining us now is editor-in-chief of the Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro. Ben, just so you know, we've set up a closed perimeter around CNN in case people feel threatened by your interview here tonight.
I'm excited. I've been working out, and I'll just tell you, I'm a very physically intimidating character.
All right, so this isn't your first go at one of these. Do you think that your reception at college campuses has gotten worse since Trump, though?
Yes. I think that over the last 2 years, it's gotten worse generally, even before Trump was nominated. I mean, there was nearly a riot when I spoke at Cal State Los Angeles in February 2016. But I think that it has accelerated since Trump was elected. I think that Antifa particularly has gotten very, very active. I don't want to blame all the students at Berkeley for this, because I don't think it's most of the students at Berkeley. I think that it's Antifa, which is an outside essentially terror group that engages in political violence, and the city has largely been willing to go along with that. This is the first time that the city of Berkeley is supposedly going to stand up to it. We'll see if they fulfill their promises.
Why are people so afraid of you?
I don't know. I mean, I seem like a nice guy. I assume I assume because I'm conservative and because I say some things that people find offensive. But I don't consider myself a provocateur. I'm not somebody who goes on campus and just says things to get a rise out of people. I go and I try to make a logical case for the positions that I support, and then if people get ticked off at it, that's really their problem. I think it has less to do with me, though, than it has to do with this newfound perception on the left that if you are someone who disagrees, then you're insulting their very identity. It's this intersectional theory that says that if I say something that you don't like and you happen to be black, it's because you're black that you don't like it, and therefore I'm insulting you because you're black, even though that makes no sense at all. And unfortunately, I think that that's what you're seeing from Berkeley when they say they're going to have counselors on hand for this sort of thing. Honestly, if you need counselors for me speaking, you need psychiatric care anyway.
I'm not trying to belittle this, but it is ridiculous. Ben, stay right there. I want to bring the table in. You know, I used to say that Donald Trump, in part, got elected because political correctness rose to such an absurd level that he said, okay, y'all, if you're telling me that we live in a world where everything could be considered offensive, I'm going to create one where nothing will be considered offensive, and I will literally get away with saying anything. And he proved that entirely right. Yeah. But do you think we've already hit peak PC, or is this just going to get worse?
Well, can I? Yeah. There's obviously a PC discussion here, and just for the record, I want to disagree with Mr. Shapiro about Antifa being a terrorist group, but that's not the main point.
Okay.
Though I think they are violent. Anyway.
Well, that's not actually under debate.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Right. No, fair.
Using violence
exactly makes you violent.
To advance political ends is pretty much the very definition of terrorism.
But she doesn't want to have that argument. Actually,
I'm going to counseling after the segment.
Right. Exactly. I've offended everyone. You know, I just want to say, you know, maybe there's a PC issue in it, but I think it just speaks to a deeper misunderstanding about what the First Amendment means. I mean, I don't want to preach
a misunderstanding by liberals.
By everyone to some degree.
Definitely not by everyone.
Well, no, but wait, let me. So I want to be clear, as you know, a Democrat, a former Speaker of the New York City Council, as a Democrat, this isn't okay. And we've seen this happen in New York at Brooklyn College when groups with different perspectives on Israel wanted to speak. Right. They were pushed out by the college. So this isn't just even a conservative liberal conversation.
What's so concerning to me is the fact that college campuses nowadays that say they want to be a great melting pot, that they want to be a place that's tolerant of all people, have become completely intolerant to any viewpoint they disagree with. And what the left has learned is if you threaten violence And I think young liberals are learning that violence is somehow this acceptable way to go after people, including Ben Shapiro. I've known Ben for a long time. Ben and I have spoken at events together. The hostility towards conservatives on college campuses across the board now is a point where it is becoming unsafe because the left has said, we don't like you and we're going to silence you at all costs.
But I just want to say, it's not just the issue
Name
of
a
the
conservative that's gone after liberals on any college campus and had to have extra, not only counseling, but a perimeter set up. It doesn't happen.
Guys, I want to get back to Ben, though. I want to get back to Ben real quick, and we'll come back to that. Ben, I know you've written a lot about the irony of liberal institutions curbing speech. So have I. What lesson do you think a student learns about the world when he's told he can only speak freely in like a free speech zone on a college campus?
Well, I think that it creates, obviously, a generation of people who are very delicate. And I'm not the only one who says this. Jonathan Haidt, who's a social psychologist over at New York University, says the same thing about the microaggression culture, this idea that if you're offended, then you have a right to be protected from offense. This creates a generation of unhealthy people who are actually looking to be offended because there's virtue in victimhood. And this is scary stuff. That I think is actually the bigger problem than just Antifa getting violent in particular areas, is this generalized theory of life that's being taught that you're so delicate that if somebody disagrees with you, they deserve to be curbed. It's a sort of aggression. It's a microaggression requiring some sort of action to protect you.
And, well, hang on.
Go ahead,
because the thing is, to me, it's even worse than that. Because apparently what's going on here is Ben is terrifying people who are not even going to go hear him speak. So they're not even hearing what he's saying, but somehow he's terrifying them. Someone has to explain the world to me, because that makes no sense.
Look, there is no question that the perspective of many college campuses, right, that everybody who speaks in disagreement with what they believe is the majority voice on the campus has to be controlled and put to the side. I don't think that's a good thing, but what I also think is really important is that this speaks to an erosion of one of the fundamental issues that this country was created on. And to boil it down and say the left have all the responsibility, the right have, the right have all the responsibility, or for me to say the obvious, decreases the conversation to pure politics. And to really get this, it needs to be a higher
you have to look at one thing, though.
I've been a conservative on a college campus. Many. It is political. Ben, I just want to get your thoughts on a news item before we go. You resigned as Breitbart's editor-in-chief in 2016. Steve Bannon's back at the site. Do you think he's more influential in the media, or was he in the White House?
I don't think he's particularly influential in either. I mean, I think he's much more influential in the media than he was in the White House. I think by the time he left the White House, he'd been a pretty marginalized figure. In the media, Breitbart's a big site, so he has some weight there, obviously. But the attempt by the media to build him into some sort of philosopher king of the Trump administration who's going to unlock the key to how this thing works, no. I mean, no. By the end of the time in the administration, he was sitting in a room by himself with a whiteboard full of things that had not been fulfilled. So I'm just wondering where the media, I'm just wondering where the media gets off trying to turn him into something he's not. It's bizarre.
Amazing. Ben Shapiro, thank you. Good luck this week.